Hello and welcome to a very special episode of GTFM. We just got a ton of new details about Grand Theft Auto 6's price, launch editions, exclusive content, and more. I'm Brian Altano along with my good friends Max Scoville and Ryan McCaffrey.
Greetings.
Hey. Good to see you all. Okay, so for months now, we've speculated the GTA 6 might be $100. Well, the good news, it's actually $80, which is more than most video games have cost in history. But the bad news is that there's also a $100 edition that comes with a ton of exclusive content that you might actually want to get your hands on. So let's get into it. Max, let's break down what's in this Ultimate Edition. Let's start with some of the clothes, tattoos, skins, cars, boats, and other things that you won't be able to actually touch or access or wear unless you pay that $100.
Yeah, so you get access to different hair salons, tattoo parlors, clothing stores, stuff like that. The weird thing is the phrasing, because we're used to cosmetic items being paywalled behind different editions. This is not new. This has always been the case with, dating back to probably earlier than GTA 5, but looking at the previous editions, there's always been some extra stuff, and it's been some bonus weapons or weapon skins, different vehicles like that. The odd thing is that they say that you won't be able to shop at certain establishments unless you get the Ultimate Edition, which I don't know why, but that seems like such a weird sticking point. I don't know if it's going to be like you get stopped at the door, or you'll be, there's going to be someone who's like, "Oh, sir, you can't shop here. You don't have the Ultimate Edition." If there's going to be a little an option to upgrade in the game, or if it's just going to be there's certain items that don't appear on the menu screen when you try to equip them. But yeah, they say stuff like transform vanilla vehicles into magnificent works of art with detailed interiors, exquisite rims, and donk stylings. Only open for business with the Ultimate Edition. And again, like this is cosmetic stuff. This is not new. We're used to this, but it still does feel like a little bit. I don't know. The thing that strikes me as odd is that historically there's been like a middle edition. There's been standard and there's been deluxe or special, and then there's been ultimate. And in this case, we just get two, and one's 80, one's 100. And I feel like there's just enough difference there that you feel like just that tinge of FOMO. That's kind of just, are you gonna pay that extra $20? Are you gonna spring for it?
Yeah. Ryan, what are your thoughts on this? Because I think some of the interesting wording here is how they're talking about these cosmetics, which are, we've got, like I said, exclusive tattoos, in-car customization, vehicles, accessories, wardrobe, and all that stuff. But how it's going to be woven into Jason and Lucia's story experience, meaning that your narrative experience through this game might be slightly different cosmetically if you pay the extra $20. How do you feel about that?
Well, I will say I am a person that never buys special editions anymore. That was something I did in my youth, and these days I just want the game. Mm-hmm. But I am seriously considering doing the Ultimate Edition for this one. And the reason is because I've already bought a PS5 Pro specifically for this game, because there is no PC version at launch. Yeah. PS5 Pro is going to be the best way to play this. I'm a massive Grand Theft Auto fan. I think GTA 5 is one of the 10 greatest games ever made, and I want the ultimate GTA 6 experience. So if I've already gone to the lengths of getting a PS5 Pro for this game, I'm not going to stop at the base edition. I will pay the extra $20, and I have to figure that, Max, to your point about Red Dead 2 having 3 editions, that this one only having 2 is a very highly calculated math equation done by the Rockstar and Take-Two corporate financial analysts that their research is showing them that they think they're going to make more money selling an $80 version and then a $100 version, getting enough people like me to bump up the extra $20 versus a $60 Red Dead 2 base version, $80, and then the $150 ultimate. So they are in this to make money. They've done the math. I mean, history will ultimately prove whether they're right or not, but I've got to figure that they are banking on the higher price floor of $80, making them more money than they did with Red Dead 2 or GTA 5 before it. And that $100 Ultimate Edition with nothing higher than that, convincing enough people like me to just step up and do the extra 20.
I think that's exactly it. And like, look, let's contextualize this a little bit. We've come a long way from the, $2.50 horse armor DLC of, decades of yore or whatever, right? In-game cosmetic microtransactions have been completely normalized. And I will say this on record, on behalf of every consumer in the world, it's crazy that we're just sitting here being like, yeah, $100 video games, sign me up. But that's kind of where we are. And it's been so long in the works since we've gotten a new GTA game that we're actually looking at some of this stuff and we're going, it's actually not the worst deal to get all this stuff. So on top of all of these in-game cosmetics, I started thinking about how, Fortnite raised V-Buck skin costs where it's something like $23 or $24 for an in-game character skin now. And here you're getting a whole bunch of other stuff. But outside of the cosmetics, there's something that really kind of caught me off guard here, where they said there's an exclusive mission. And doing some digging on Rockstar's website, I think it might be connected to this gang compound, which sounds like it's going to be a raid where you take over this gang compound, and by doing that, you unlock a cosmetic shop, which gives you access to all of their clothes. Because that's always the first thing you do when you take down a gang, is that you wear their clothes. Obviously, everyone knows that. So not only are you going to be missing out on the cosmetic stuff in this game, but there's an actual gameplay element of this too. And so, yeah, I think they are absolutely just building up FOMO here. And one of the things that I think is also illustrating that is they have this thing, the Good Time Gear, which is a in-game shop where they are advertising capsule collections. And capsule collections, to anybody who's ever bought streetwear or shoes or clothes or anything like that, that knows what it's like to get this like limited drop of stuff, which is like a collaboration with an artist between like an independent, fashion wear company, talking like Supreme and Bathing Ape and all these other ones. They're going for that, right? They're going for people who are into streetwear. They're going for this sort of modern, younger, hipper audience of people who are just like, yeah, man, I want that shirt. I want those clothes. So I don't know if it's going to work in the grand scheme of things, but I do think a lot of people are going to go, hey, you get a little bit or, a lot more stuff for that extra $20, in for a penny, in for a pound, sign me up.
Well, what I am shocked that this does not include, and to be clear, I'm relieved, but genuinely dumbfounded. A huge trend right now in these higher priced editions of games is early access.
Yeah.
Like, Microsoft's been doing a ton of it, like with Forza, with most of their first party stuff. We're seeing a lot of companies do this. I am stunned that Rockstar, because that would be the quickest way to get everybody to pay for the $100 version. It's just
Easily.
You get it 2 days early, 3 days early, whatever it is. So I'm relieved, like that. I think it's great that everybody will just get to access it at the same time. But I am stunned that they did not include early access as part of this.
I think it's because Rockstar has historically been really strong about commanding this specific and significant cultural moment where they go like, this is our trailer, it's dropping right now, this is when our news drop, this is when our release date's happening, this is when our pre-order is happening. And they don't want to stagger that conversation. They want to stop the entire world at the exact same time and go, everyone is playing GTA 6 right now.
So, elephant in the room, online. They've said this is a standalone single player experience. We know there's going to be a GTA 6 online. We know that's coming down the pipe. It strikes me as a little bit odd that they're completely radio silent about this. And again, they're owning the conversation. They want this to be the thing that everyone is talking about. With or without online, this is going to be one of the most groundbreaking pieces of entertainment thing ever. It's going to, it's going to make billions. And I feel like they're sitting on online. I mean, they're still working on it. There's going to be stuff to iron out. It's going to have a lot of moving parts. They're going to have to deal with millions of people crashing the servers all at once. But I feel like they're sitting on maybe a third edition. I feel like maybe they're going to stagger it and wait until when all the dust has settled on GTA 5 single player launch, then they start talking about online. Then they start announcing what comes with that. And maybe then they roll out a $150 edition that comes with a bunch of perks for online, comes with a whale card or shark card or whatever it's called, and extra gear and stuff. All the stuff that they're including with the Ultimate Edition here is, it's single player stuff. It's bonus cosmetics for the story, for the campaign. And there's, we've gotten a peek inside Rockstar's financials, and they they make a pretty penny off of online. People like to spend money in there. One thing that is sort of odd, though, is that the GTA 6 pre-order bonus, or one of them, is that there's a free month of GTA Plus, which is Rockstar's subscription service. Online is a separate thing entirely, but this includes so many perks and stuff for GTA 5 online, which is still going to be up and running for a cool minute. They're definitely not going to turn the lights off there. But I'm wondering, it just seems kind of odd to be like, hey, you're buying Grand Theft Auto 6. It's this brand new thing. Here is a free month of stuff for GTA 5 in case you run out of stuff to do in the new game. It just kind of feels like an odd, like, hey, here's a weird freebie, just throwing that in there for the heck of it.
Yeah. That's going to be an interesting. I think that's one of the biggest questions we have about GTA 6 right now is sort of how that handshake is going to happen, or that baton pass between the previous generations of GTA and GTA 5 and GTA Online, and whatever the online component is to GTA 6. Because theoretically, the people who are really locked in on GTA Online have spent hundreds of hours and hundreds of dollars buying in-game cosmetics. They've bought, gold jets and cars and motorcycles and houses. And how much of that stuff can theoretically carry over to GTA 6? I think that's one of the biggest questions right now. Not exactly when GTA Online is going to roll out, because I think that people are going to have enough fun in this sandbox for a couple of months that they won't be really itching for something new to play in just yet. But they will have to figure out how to not let down all those people who spent all that money in GTA Online and carry them over as continuing customers to GTA 6's online.
I think there's going to be some perk for people who are big spenders or have sunk a certain amount of time in online that they get to carry over to GTA 6 online, but it's going to be a new experience. It's a new city, it's a new game. I don't think there's any reason to expect that it's going to be that much of a special treatment situation. I don't think they're going to go, hey, you can have all of your Bond villain layers and your VTOL gyrocopters and all that cool stuff that exists in online that people have spent millions of dollars on. There's no reason for them to be like, yeah, you just drag and drop. It's just going to show up right in your beach shanty in Vice City. It's a new game. It's new technology.
It's a new city.
Yeah, it's a whole new ball game. But yeah, to Ryan's point about early access to something, I can't help but wonder again if they're doing it, if they're trying to drum up hype for online, if they're going to maybe sell some sort of access to an open beta or a early access to the online, which I believe Red Dead 2 did. I can't remember if that was a pre-order bonus or what, but we've seen with the increased complexity of these online components for these games. GTA 5, when it first came out on PS3 and 360, the online mode launched about a month after. Mm-hmm. And with Red Dead 2, it was a few months after. And I think the fact that they're not even talking about it right now is there's still a lot of stuff that needs to get buttoned up, and they're waiting to talk about it. And again, anything they say is just, it breaks the internet. It gets people talking about whatever it is they drop. They didn't even drop new gameplay yet. Like they dropped like a snippet of in-game footage, and then they dropped like 67 new screenshots, which is cool. But like, again, they're sitting on it. They can just make everyone shut up and listen whenever they want about whatever it is. So there's really no reason to come out right now and go, here's what's in the base version. Here's all this stuff. Here's a new gameplay trailer. Here's what comes in online. Here's what you can do on online. Like when they can stagger that stuff, and every time they make a new announcement, everyone just perks up and pays attention. And along with that, you get, I don't know, a couple dozen pre-orders, I'd imagine.
Mm-hmm. Ryan, what are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I expect that they actually don't know when GTA Online's for this is going to ship yet, because as Max noted, it came out, I actually looked it up. I think it was actually 2 weeks after GTA 5. So it was a pretty quick turnaround. But as you guys noted, the GTA 5 and that online launched in a pretty famously, if you were old enough to remember, yes. It was pretty busted. It did not work well. It was a really rough launch. Now, in fairness to Rockstar, they'd never tried anything on that scale before. The interest was huge. They've obviously done it now. They've more than smoothed out GTA Online with GTA 5, and they did Red Dead Online. So they have a lot more experience in this now. But yeah, I mean, they will probably talk more about GTA Online when they're confident that they can hit a ship date. I think the open beta access that Max you talked about, that's a great point. That's probably a highly likely scenario, just as a server stress test, if nothing else, ahead of the official launch. But also, there's just the notion that they've spent reportedly $1 billion developing this game. They want people to play the single player game first. They want people to get to know Vice City, get to know Leonida, get to know the area before GTA Online gets introduced. So, yeah, the question is really when, is it, will GTA Online even drop this year? Or are they just going to keep the focus on the single player for this year and then sometime early next year flip the switch on GTA Online? Or will it be pretty quick? Will it be like within a month? And so in time for Christmas, you can be playing online in GTA 6 online with your friends. I really, neither would surprise me. No situation would surprise me. But yeah, I think Rockstar is still probably figuring out exactly what the timeline looks like for the new GTA Online.
Yeah, I think this is GTA 6 is going to be the best-selling game of the year. It's going to be the best-selling game of next year. I think it's going to be probably the number one best-selling game for at least the first 6 months after it launches, maybe even the first year.
Yeah.
Like other video game companies have steered so hard to stay out of Rockstar's orbit for this one that they pretty much own the lane for a while here. And I think with that and the players that will probably still stick around on GTA 5 Online that haven't upgraded to next-gen consoles yet, because let's be honest here, the only way to play GTA 6 is by buying an Xbox Series S, an X, or a PS5 or a PS5 Pro. Those are your only options right now. There are no PC options at launch. Last gen is long gone from now. So I think some kids will still stick around and play GTA Online for GTA 5, but this is going to be their breadwinner for the future. And I think it's going to make them enough money that they don't really need to rush out online as fast as they did the last time around. So yeah, there's a lot of questions we have about this in terms of when online will or won't launch. But in the meantime, I do want to talk about something that has been a big sticking point this morning. You won't be able to trade in Grand Theft Auto 6. If you buy Grand Theft Auto 6, it's yours for as long as you own that digital license. That's because Grand Theft Auto 6 is launching in a digital edition, which we all know of by now, but also a physical edition, which is, drum roll please, just a code in a box.
It's a code in a box.
It's a code in a box, which means unlike previous physical edition games, which may or may not have the entire game on disc, and there are various websites that track these things, that disc, when put into your console, effectively acts as a sort of a temporary license, right? It grants your console permission to play the game, which allows your account to access it. And when it's time to get rid of that game or trade it in, or you're done with it, you beat it, say you beat the single player in GTA 6, and you're like, all right, I don't really want to play online. I don't want to mess around this open world anymore. Time to get rid of my game. You won't be able to do that because the disc is not a key. The game key card is not a key. You just have a code that you put in that will be tied to your account for as long as you have your account, or as long as you have access to your account, or as long as Rockstar allows you to have access to your account, or all the other various factors that come into play here. And this is fascinating because this is going to be a game that's front and center on the box in every remaining video game store on the planet. Every big box retail store like Walmart, Best Buy, Target, all of those things will have huge displays of GTA 6. And I don't know how many of those consumers will know when they pick up that game for $80 or $100 and they bring it home and they open up that box that it's empty. How do you guys feel about this?
Well, this is the direction things have been going, and there's a couple factors there. One of them being that people just buy stuff digitally. It's how things work. I can't imagine Rockstar is really eager for people to trade in a copy of GTA 6. They kind of want to just sell it and keep it there. But the other, logistical aspect is just the sheer size of games and the amount of, the amount of data that it would be required to put on physical media for them to even sell a physical edition that is a physical edition. And it's, again, manufacturing discs. I think they probably want to keep the data from getting out there. They probably want to prevent people from data mining and digging around in whatever files are on there. And if it's a code, they can kind of control that a little bit better. But just looking back, when GTA 5 came to PC, there was a physical edition that came on 7 DVDs. So
I did not know that.
Yeah,
that's fascinating.
Like I remember being kind of flabbergasted when I got GTA 4 for PC that was on, I think that was on 2 dual layer discs. So it was, quite a few gigs. And fast forward 20 years, games are so enormous. And again, this is a whole other kind of question we all have, is the file size, the install size. Just putting that on physical media is a logistical challenge of its own. And, maybe they do the thing where it's a disc you pop in, there's a little handshake or whatever. But Conversely, the code thing, you punch it in and it downloads. Regardless of what you do, it was going to have to download something. That's kind of the reality of games in general. There's almost inevitably going to be a day one patch, a day two patch. They're going to be pushing out updates for this thing because it's going to have a lot of moving parts. And suddenly when you have millions and millions of people playing it, you're going to get a bunch of, you get some bug reports. They're going to find some things the QA team didn't find. And it's, games are we talk about live service games. That's kind of all games to a point right now. Like the fact that there is this conversation between people playing and people who make the game, getting updates on what's in there. There's really no reason for it to be this like static capsulated experience. Like we've come a long way from Gex 64, on a $90 cartridge. It's just whatever's in there is in there for good. And I can understand why people would be upset to spend $80 on something or $100 on something, and it is ostensibly a gift card with a really nice envelope. But that's where we're at. That's sort of the reality here. And I don't know, so many people are going to be buying this thing digitally without even thinking about it, that the idea of reselling this is I feel like it's just not that's not an option here. That's just not what's happening.
I guess the counterpoint is that this is at launch, at least a single player campaign, right? And that Rockstar's last big single player game was Red Dead Redemption 2, which shipped on 2 discs in 2018, which was a data disc and a play disc. And, like you mentioned, game file sizes are massive now. This is going to be, Ryan, like we were talking about this earlier, this is probably going to be one of the biggest video games ever made. Not just biggest, but biggest in terms of file size.
Yeah, I mean, I think 150 gigs is the minimum. That's the floor here.
Yeah.
You were noting, Brian, that we had to double check. A Series S, which this game has to be able to run on, has a maximum usable storage area of, I believe it was 325 gigs or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be bigger than that, but it's probably somewhere between $150 and $300. I would probably put my money on 200 gigabytes, just given the sheer scope and size of this game. But to Max's point earlier about this lack of a proper physical edition, I do think, as you noted, Max, it's absolutely about security and control for Rockstar, because, like you said, Brian, Rockstar is probably the best there is in the games industry at owning a moment and really controlling a narrative and making a big event out of something. And you can't risk the data mining, as you noted, Max, or some retailer leaking a physical edition that actually has the game on it and can work. But there's also, even though buying games digitally has been totally normalized on console, it's been the really basically only way, short of special edition physical stuff, on PC for well over a decade, if not a couple decades at this point. Mm-hmm. I do hope that in the interests of game preservation and investing in and supporting and really just preserving physical media, I hope that maybe Rockstar will offer a physical edition with the actual game on the disc later, like after launch down the road, as like a super special edition for really aimed at collectors that want to maybe mount the discs in a frame on the wall or just make something cool out of it. But I do hope that some way, somehow, this game will exist in physical space for just for the history of the medium.
No, I hope so too. I can't help but feel like there's also something of a safety concern here, where if you have discs with the data in a factory getting put in boxes, put on trucks, the likelihood of one of those trucks getting robbed is not beyond the realm of possibility.
It happened to Halo 2 back in 2004.
Yeah. No, I remember hearing, look at how often we hear about robberies for Pokemon cards. And those are Pokemon cards. This is GTA 6. This is something people have been waiting for 13, 14 years, whatever it is. And
stealing cars is in the title of the game.
Yeah. It's a little bit different from Gotta Catch 'Em All. It's kind of like pull over. But no, I think even if it was a physical collector's edition that didn't include the game, I think there's such high demand for that if that thing was available pre-launch and someone got a hold of it by illegitimate means, that would be selling for ridiculous amounts in the secondhand market. And I don't know, Rockstar can sell those things eventually, but the fact that it's digital only means that they are controlling when the game is out. You know, it's not like it fell off the back of a truck, or your buddy who works at GameStop decided to hand it over for you. Like, it's the fact that it is a disc in a box. Again, that is a concern for people concern about game preservation. But in terms of just like the game coming out when Rockstar wants it to come out, that's the ball's in their court there. You know, like they are the ones controlling when the game is physically accessible. It's under lock and key, which I guess in a sense is a that's a form of DRM. But yeah, it also doesn't rule out the prospect of a physical edition down the road. I think Baldur's Gate did it incredibly well, where they did put out a physical edition, but that was after they pushed like 3 or 4 or 5 major updates that changed the experience for the better and kind of really reached the form of the game that they wanted people to experience. And I think they also tied that with when it launched on Xbox Series after some delays on that end. But like, yeah, I've long said that like the idea of a collector's edition, it seems like an odd thing to sell at launch, because it's generally, you're buying a statue of a character from Assassin's Creed who you in a game you haven't played yet. You're buying like a figurine of some, maybe it's a sequel, maybe it's, it's a PVC statue of Max Payne that slowly leans over in the sun. But like it's, you're buying something for a game you haven't played yet, which seems odd to me. This is going to be a game a lot of people would shell out money for that. But at the same time, like they could also come out, a year afterwards. Hey, happy 1-year anniversary to GTA 6. Here is the ultimate collector's edition. It's $250, whatever it is. And people would
sure. Well, I think that's an interesting point, because there has been a running discourse around the collector's editions of games not actually even launching with the games themselves. Like some of them don't come with a disc or even a game card or a game code. So I do see them doing a complete edition down the line. But I am thinking about the sort of larger implications of the games industry and having the biggest game of the decade launch effectively digital only with a $80 to $100 price range. I think that's going to tip has already been sort of an uphill battle for a lot of game collectors and preservationists and just people who are trying to afford their way into this industry, that $80 to $100 might be kind of too high for some people. And I think we might reach a point where people are buying fewer and fewer games, and this might be one of those forever games where people just buy one game a year now, or one game every 5 years, and they just keep playing and playing and playing. So, I mean, we'll see what happens with all of that. But the signs have been sort of on the writing's been on the wall for physical game collectors for a while. But you guys are both right. I really hope they do a complete edition a year from now, because everyone knows Rockstar more than any other company loves when people double, triple, and quadruple dip on GTA games. So they will figure out a way to make you buy this game multiple times if they can. If it's not for the PS6 upgrade version or the PC version or the Game of the Year Ultimate Exclusive Edition version, content complete physical on disc, they'll get you there. Yeah, this has been a really sort of fascinating timeline, because I think that they've done a really interesting job of making sure that all eyes are on them again, but they've also got us talking in ways that I don't think we would have talked about yesterday, which is, hey, I kind of want the $100 digital exclusive version of GTA 6. And one of those things that I do want to point out is that every single person who pre-orders this game digitally, which is, again, the only way to really pre-order it, will be able to preload it. So a lot of the concerns that we had about not being able to play this game the night it launches, I know we've all been there in the trenches, the night a new game launches and you go to the eShop or PSN or the Xbox store and you go to download something and the servers crash and everyone's, refreshing, and, you hop on social media and you're like, everything's broken, I can't play the game I bought. This will ideally circumvent that. So you'll get some exclusive sort of Vice City themed pre-order bonuses, but you also get the peace of mind of downloading the game early, which again is building into that FOMO, right? That's exactly what they want from you.
Yeah, we don't want any Mario Kart World situations again from the Switch 2 launch. We were all frazzled that night trying to get those codes to work.
I will argue that we are specifically here at the $80 price point because of games like Mario Kart World. I think that once Nintendo said our flagship exclusive first-party launch game based on the most iconic character in video game history is $80 for reasons we can't truly explain, when Rockstar comes out and they go, oh, this is an actual big open world with stuff to do, with actual things to do in it, and it's $80, people were like, oh, that sort of makes sense now. So I think it's game over for for $60 games basically from a AAA developer.
Well, I do disagree. I think this is going to be seen as permission from a lot of big publishers. They're like, oh, our AAA game can be $80 as well. And as Microsoft learned, you already mentioned it, Brian, near the top of this show. Microsoft learned the lesson that people don't want to pay $80 for the Outer Worlds 2.
Yeah.
I do think that there is going to be significant resistance to most games trying to be $80. Nintendo, with their first-party flagship stuff, can get away with it. Rockstar, with their flagship stuff that only drops once a decade, they can get away with it. But I'm not sure the average, even first-party PlayStation or first-party Xbox game or third-party whatever EA game, Warner Brothers game, I think most of them are not going to find the same level of success and acceptance from the general game buying public on that.
I think you're spot on, and it's going to be very interesting to watch them try and fail, because I think a lot of people are a lot more selective with what they're spending their money on these days. Everything is more expensive than ever. And when you see a $70 or $80 first party game that isn't, a flagship first party Nintendo title exclusive to one platform, or the next installment in the Grand Theft Auto franchise, you might kind of scoff at that a little bit. All right, so I think that we're in a pretty good spot in understanding a bit more about GTA 6. One thing I do want to point out, and Max, you touched on it very briefly before, sort of the last thing I want to talk about today. It feels insane that there is this much chaos and excitement and circumstance and pre-orders and money being thrown around for a video game that we haven't seen a single second of gameplay of. Again, Ryan, you mentioned Rockstar being able to get away with this. I can't fathom any other company being able to get this much excitement around something that they've only shown cinematics for. Like, these are in-game cinematics, right? And this engine looks phenomenal. And there are so many details here. And these screenshots, we know what a GTA game feels like and plays like. But we haven't seen a single moment we haven't seen UI. We haven't seen, there's so much here that's still yet to be discussed or shown. And it doesn't really matter, does it?
No. Mario could get away with this, the next big 3D Mario, if Nintendo wanted to. I think the Elder Scrolls, I think Bethesda could get away with this, doing this with the Elder Scrolls 6. And we know Todd Howard, the director of that series, he hates showing his games ahead of time. So I think people like him are going to be taking notes with what Rockstar's doing here. But yeah, by and large, it's an extremely short list of game developers and publishers that can get away with this level of effective marketing and hype without showing really much of anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was the running joke in this industry for so long that if you saw, just a cinematic trailer for something for the longest time, people were like, show me gameplay. And here, that hasn't really been the conversation. And I guess it's partly because it's a known quantity, and partly because everything we're seeing is theoretically in game and it looks so good. I just find it kind of interesting.
It's interesting. But the thing that Rockstar and Nintendo have in common in this sense is that they've earned the trust. They have enough of a track record that I'm not worried about this game not being good. That's not something I can say about a lot of games, but this is one where I almost don't want to see gameplay. Like, thinking about it, like, this is how movies are. You don't see an entire scene from a movie ahead of release. I guess sometimes you do. I guess if you go see, they show you the first 10 minutes of The Dark Knight or whatever. But generally speaking, the sort of the correlating thing of like a gameplay demo, I kind of don't want to see gameplay. I kind of want to just be surprised by that. Like, I want to learn these systems when I'm actually playing the game. I remember, when they typically do the big sizzly, the cinematic trailer. And then they follow that up with a kind of very sterile clinical gameplay deep dive. And they've done that with GTA 5. They've done that with Red Dead 2. And it's cool to see, but at the same time, it does remove some of that mystery of what you're getting into and what this world is going to look like. And I remember after seeing the initial gameplay reveal of Red Dead 2, kind of almost feeling like I'd spoiled something for myself. And again, whenever they drop that, I'm going to watch it very carefully because it's part of my job. We got to talk about this stuff here. But on a personal level, like, if I wasn't covering games for a living, I would be covering my eyes and ears trying not to see anything more about this game because I want to experience it like I'm going in completely cold. I think that's a really fun way to go about things. But obviously, based on internet traffic, a lot of people don't share that mentality. A lot of people just want to know as much as they can as soon as they can. I think that Rockstar said a while back that they were going to start drumming up the marketing machine in the summer. Here we go. We got the pre-orders. The nice thing about that, it does seem to acknowledge that this is going to hit that November 19th release date, which I know some of us were kind of skeptical about. And it's, I again, knock wood, I really hope they do hit that, because Thanksgiving break is gonna rip. But like we still haven't seen gameplay. That's wild. That's kind of nuts. But again, if they're not seeing the pre-order bonuses or the pre-orders they want to see, or somehow people lose interest in GTA, Rockstar's still got in their back pocket. They can come out, oh, by the way, here's some gameplay, and once the hype dies down on that, then they do 2 separate trailers for the main characters. I remember they did that with Trevor and Franklin and Michael around GTA, where it's like, here's individual trailers for each character. We got 2 characters this time around, but there's plenty of stuff to show off from this game, and they've got that ability to play things close to the chest and still keep people's attention. Very few developers Max, can do that.
Setting aside, as you noted, what we are fortunate enough to do for a living here in covering games, and my specific role at IGN as the previews editor is to cover things before they come out. But we are all 3 old enough to remember when this was every game. When the most we'd get would be an article in Nintendo Power or EGM and maybe some little screenshots. But then when we got home with the game, we'd put, entirely blind faith into, I hope this game's going to be good. And the first time we played, or the first time we saw any of it, was when we put the cartridge in and hit the power button and press start.
Yeah.
This is going to be maybe the first time we've had that. I can't even remember. Again, even setting aside what we do for a living here, like if in fact we don't see any proper actual raw gameplay from GTA 6 between now and November 19th, which is probably unlikely. I don't think we will. I think at most we would get a 3rd trailer that, yes, would be comprised of gameplay snippets, but we're not going to see the HUD. We're not going to see just like someone actually playing as if it's the regular game. So yeah, this is maybe a very rare opportunity for us as gamers to kind of teleport back to our childhoods for a minute.
No, Ryan, you bring up a really good point. As a kid, I have really fond memories of getting a video game the morning of my birthday, which was a school day, and bringing that game on the school bus and tearing open the packaging and reading the manual and looking at the cartridge. And this November, I'm excited to do the same thing with Grand Theft Auto 6 when I tear open that box and I just look at that little game code all day until it's time to play.
Well, that's
done with work.
That's why you should probably pre-order digitally, so you can preload it, and so then you just turn it on and you get to play it. You don't have to sit there staring at a loading screen or a download bar for several hours.
Well, a lot of things have changed over the years. One thing hasn't, and that's that GTA is still the biggest thing in the world. It's still immensely exciting. If you do want to see more, we've got a slideshow with over 60 brand new screenshots. Maybe some of them will be gameplay moments eventually when we do play the game. We've also got breakdowns of everything you can get in each edition and all the pre-order bonuses over on IGN.com, so go check those out. But for now, that just about wraps us up for this very special episode of GTFM. We'll have tons more coverage of GTA 6 here on IGN in the weeks and months leading until launch. So Max, Ryan, thank you so much. This is so much fun talking about GTA with you. I cannot wait to see how this game changes the industry and all the silly, stupid stuff we get to do once we start playing it.
We get to play it at some point.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Countdown is officially on now.
Yes, the countdown's officially on. We'll have tons more coverage of GTA 6 right here in the weeks and months coming up to the launch. Until then, thanks for watching, and for all things video games, stick with IGN.